As of 6:30, when my World News Tonight recording was interrupted with the breaking news, it had been ongoing breaking news, you know what I mean? So it didn't tape my World News Tonight either. It didn't tape part of my Inside Edition, but it taped most of it. 60 to 100 homes in the Merrimack Valley in here, Massachusetts, were on fire. 60 to 100 people. This hits too close to home. This is terrifying to me, that something like this could happen. It's like, you realize if something like this can happen, it can happen anywhere. You understand? This could happen anywhere, at any time. What could possibly have caused something like that? Was it an act of terrorism? Like Joe said to me, an intentional pipeline sabotage? But again, this is a widespread catastrophe, the entire Merrimack Valley, okay? Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover. Too close to home. Oh my God. Can you imagine? There's no way that this, if it just happened accidentally, it's not Mother Nature, so it's obviously attributed to inexcusable, in my book, human error. Someone fucked up somewhere, if we want to use layman's terms. But if it's not, if it was all intentional, again, this is terrifying. Numerous explosions, like I just read to you in the other thing. Numerous explosions. At 6:30, there were 60 to 100 fires going on at that moment. I haven't looked at the news yet, but now it's late. Now it's after, it's like 10 o'clock or something. But at 6:30, they were still trying to get everything under control and whatnot. Remember, she asked the guy, the newscaster on Channel 5 News asked the guy, the chief, the whatever, of Methuen, whatever, like, have you ever seen anything like this in your career? And he's like, no. That's what they're all saying. They've never seen anything like what happened. These poor people, there were people in the homes. They know of one serious critical injury. I read about it online. But we don't know. People's homes have exploded with them in it, Holy fucking shit. Don't think just because you're not in Massachusetts it couldn't happen where you are. Something like this can happen anywhere, okay? If it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. Would I have imagined in my wildest dreams that anything like this would ever happen? No, I wouldn't. I know that bombings happen. I know 9/11 happened. I know planes go down. I know all of that. But something like this, I would never imagine to ever happen. How can it? Mass, in areas, it's not just like something happening on one block or something. This is like mass area. North Andover, Lawrence. One thing's happening here, there's an explosion. Another explosion is happening over here. Another one's happening over here. Fires and gas. That's simultaneously. Fuck. And if, as Joe said, if it's pipeline sabotage, you have to ask yourself, how easy was it to accomplish? And if it wasn't pipeline sabotage, who caused this to happen? Like, who fucked up big time? This is really terrifying to me because it hits too close to home. This is terrifying to me that something like this could happen. That if this could actually happen where, I mean, how do I know that you know, that happened in Lawrence, Andover North, in the Merrimack Valley today, 4:30? How do I know that it won't happen tomorrow with my electric company? You know what I mean? How do you know that the sabotage isn't planned, like, in this area one day and then, you know, a couple days from now to be in another area? Because I personally would never imagine something like this could happen at all. Again, I know hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, you know, earthquakes, all of that, catastrophic, Mother Nature. But something like that, and I know the wildfires happen in California, I know all of that, and I know a lot of times they can be attributed to arson, and they cause widespread damage and whatever, you know, and casualties as well, I'm sure. But who would think that this could be, I don't know, synchronized, if it was intentional? Okay? I don't think for one moment it couldn't be intentional. Nowadays anything can happen, okay? But if it was intentional and not just someone fucked up big time somewhere, okay? If it was intentional, wouldn't it have to be like an inside job or something? I mean, but if it was intentional, it had to be synchronized. You understand? It's one thing if there was just one explosion. 60 to 100 fires happening at that moment. The guy I listed in my other video, I listed, you know, because I was reading the closed caption, what he was saying. He was breaking it down. This is what we know. This was at 6:30. We know there was this many fires and explosions here, and this many here, and this many here. They don't even know. They don't even know who may have died or is seriously injured. If they're saying they know there's 60 to 100 fires going on at that moment at 6:30, okay? Or a little after 6:30. I started watching it. You know, it was taped at 6:30, okay? I didn't know anything this was happening until later on tonight. I didn't have TV on all day. Then I walked over and then I came back and then my jaw dropped. I was in shock. Remember, if I was hearing that it was happening in your state, I would be just shocked. But this is too close to home, you understand? This is terrifying. Because if this could just happen, how do we know it's not going to happen somewhere else tomorrow? The answer is you don't. This is the reality we live in now here. Things like this didn't happen when I was growing up. Neither did the school shootings, neither did this and that, and, you know, none of it happened when I was growing up. So this is the reality we live in now. That's why Jimmy Kimmel, who again, I don't particularly care for him, but I don't really watch it. I like the beginning stuff. Sometimes it's funny, okay? But he said they did a poll, and in 2017, people were more scared, more nervous, more, you know, unhappy, more this, more that than ever, like, before, you know? Of course, Jimmy Kimmel is going to always go back to Trump and say, well, this is not, you know, but it's not about Trump. It's about this fucking world, this reality we live in now. There is no security for any of us. These people came home from work. These people who were in their houses at the time, the ones who weren't home yet, I'm sure are thankful as hell. But they still lost their fucking homes, probably, if they explode. I mean, but they said one of them, the house lifted up right off its foundation, and there were people inside. The family was inside at the time. there's at least one person critically injured who could, could die, but they don't know. There might wind up being more people critically injured, or they might find bodies. I mean, you're innocently coming home and making dinner or something, and suddenly your house is exploding. As I've often said out here, for various reasons, this world is just too much. What's the next thing that's going to happen? My guess, and if I said it to Joe, he's like, yeah, you're right, it's going to be biological warfare, or something mass thing where we find out that tons and tons of people were, and were sickened, poisoned, or whatever, and don't know how it happened, Like I said, in my years on this planet, I've been around a pretty damn long time. I've never heard of anything like this ever happening anywhere in the United States. I don't know what happens in other countries, but here in the United States, I've never heard of anything like this happening. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And I highly doubt any of you have. And it seems synchronized. It seems like we might find out it was intentional. That it's some kind of act of terrorism, sabotage, like Joe said. Sabotage, pipeline leak, something that is attributed to intentional human interference. But even if let's say for argument's sake, let's say it's not human interference. Let's just say but it's still man-made. You understand? It is still attributed to nothing other than human error. An earthquake didn't cause it. Nothing in Mother Nature caused this fucking bullshit to happen. So even if it wasn't intentional, heads are gonna roll. You know what I mean? It's because that means someone fucked up big time somewhere. Big time fucked up. And the result was widespread catastrophe. But no, I would have never imagined something like this could happen. Those are different cities, right? They're not just side by side. They're not just like, you know what I mean? So, are you telling me that like how many miles away was one fire happening and another up to they say like 60 to 100 fires were happening at that moment when my World News Tonight was not being recorded because the breaking news was taking place. It started a little before 5. I know that because it interrupted the last 7 minutes or so of my Inside Edition. And I didn't get to find out about this hotel that you go in single and check out divorce hotel, or whatever. I got to see most of Inside Edition. Because when Inside Edition started, apparently it started, but they didn't know, the first fire, they just think, oh, something happened. We hear about that. That's not any big news. Sometimes explosions happen, sometimes whatever. But boom, 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 boom throughout 3, whatever, don't even try to sit there and tell me that it could have been, that it couldn't have been me or my mom in our area rather than that area. Get it? This hits too close to home. This is terrifying me. And I'm already terrified 24/7 about everything. all I have to say. Holy fucking shit. I'm lucky. This is going to run out soon, but I didn't even barely charge the batteries, and it's lasting a little bit. I'm going to save it, though, in case something else happens. In case an hour from now I hear that the same thing happened in some other area. You know? I don't know how any of us are even getting by anymore in this world. I really don't. Getting by as in not losing our minds, you know? I really don't. As I told you in the other video, I wrote this originally to Joe when I first found out. What the fuck is going on in this world, Joe? 60 plus explosions, fires, and reports of gas odor in Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover. Authorities say they have never seen anything like it. Is it terrorism? What could possibly suddenly cause something this catastrophic, I spelled catastrophic wrong, to happen? They have shut down the power in that entire area and urged everyone there to evacuate their homes. They've urged people, encouraged people to evacuate their homes, but people have nowhere to go, you know? Otherwise, they say just be real careful and don't do something stupid like light a candle. Because, you know, they don't... Because they've, you know, use a flashlight. They've shut off the power everywhere, you know, so they don't have more fires and explosions. They've shut off the power everywhere in those three, you know, North Andover, Andover, and Lawrence. Then I wrote... Oh, I wrote that to Joe. I never heard from him. I thought he'd be in bed. But anyway, he wrote to me just now, so he didn't go to bed early, apparently. Gas leak pipeline, leak sabotage, InfoWars or Pete Santilli will cover. Shit. Never heard of anything like this ever happening. And then I wrote, if it was not intentional and only attributed to some sort of human error, then in my book, that type of widespread catastrophic mistake is 100% inexcusable. We can't blame humans for Mother Nature events like we can't blame humans for Mother Nature events like hurricanes, but we sure as fuck can blame humans for real shit like this. I mean, that's not rocket science, right? And then I also wrote, oh, I missed my too close to home, Joe, I'm scared. And Joe's not right. There's no point in me. There's nothing we can do about any of it. We're all in the same fucking boat. You understand? Like I said, don't sit there and tell me that rather than being in the Merrimack Valley area, it couldn't have been in this area. It could have been in your area. It could have been in any area. I've never heard of anything like this happening ever in my life, anywhere in the United States, until today. September 13th, 2018. I have to think about it. Tomorrow's Friday the 14th. Oh, joy. This is fucked up. This is fucked up, people. Fucked up. But I did I gotta conserve these batteries because I did my closed caption, and you know when I do that one, I want to sit in there and do a video while I play the closed caption thing, you know, because you're more likely to pay attention if you can see me.